we do have to talk about the Giants and the Cowboys. I don't think anybody thought this was going to be a thriller. Boy, was it an absolute thriller. The Dallas Cowboys win this one off the foot of Brandon Aubrey in overtime, 40-37. Let's take a look at the top 5 graded players for the Dallas Cowboys. Number 1, it says defensive tackle Solomon Thomas at 81.4. I'm just going to go ahead and say Brandon Aubrey at a 99.9 is probably at number 1. But
did he really?
Was it no, I don't know. I'm just kidding. I was just making that up, but I feel like Brandon Aubrey could be a 99.9.
Well, let me go through this, and I'm going to check that real quick because I didn't look at it yet.
Fellow defensive tackle Kenny Clark. Y'all laughed at him for the trade. Y'all laughed at him. Yeah, I kind of did too. He's number 2 here at a 79.0. Wide receiver George Pickens with a 75.4. Defensive tackle Osa Odigizua with a 71.5. Cornerback Reedy Stewart with a 73.5. Dak Prescott, man, 81.4. I love that Dak Prescott is all the way back. He is so much fun for this Dallas Cowboys offense right now, and we'll get into some more numbers for Dak here in a second. But on the Giants side of things, wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson, an 87.2, a monster day for him. Defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence, an 87.0. Wide receiver Malik Neighbors, an 85.8. Cornerback Cordell Flott with an 85.2. Edge rusher Kayvon Thibodeau, a 76.7. And then Russell Wilson, the Moonball King, is back, at least for a week. 88.2 here. Dalton, did you find the number? Brandon Aubrey.
You were close. 94.4 for Brent, which is still ridiculously good. I mean, and well deserved.
He is the best kicker in the NFL, right? I mean, there's no debate.
Chris Boswell's probably got a
case.
But
for the distance that Brandon Aubrey gives you,
the fact that
he gives them consistency and distance.
The fact that they could comfortably play for a 64-yard. I mean, think about that. I think it tells you everything you need to know about Brandon Aubrey. That the play before the 64-yarder, because they were sitting at about 67, 68, and they handed the ball off, going, yeah, we'll just take our 4 yards. He's got it. He's got a 64-yarder. They handed the ball off with 10 seconds to go when they were right at midfield. Going, yeah, he's automatic. He's hit. I mean, we live in an era now where kickers. I mean, I'm even seeing it with college kickers, man. They're better than ever. They're hitting 55 plus like it's nothing.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy how it was not that long ago where a 60-yard field goal was like
magical,
bonkers.
Yeah,
crazy if you hit a 60-yard field goal. I remember. This is one of my funny sports stories. So. My dad owned a landscaping business, and he had to get up very early in the morning every Monday morning. So when we would go to Bucs games growing up, even if they were earlier Bucs games, like he'd be like, hey, we got to beat the traffic. We got to get out of here. We were over an hour to get home. He wanted to make sure that he could get to bed at a reasonable time to wake up super early. So he was always, it felt like leaving. We were always trying to beat traffic because he hated traffic, and he was always trying to. The Bucs were playing the Philadelphia Eagles. When they kicked the 63-yard field goal, when Matt Bryant kicked the 63-yard field goal to break the record, okay? We left 5 minutes earlier because Brian Westbrook had taken a run to the house like 60 yards and put the Eagles up, and we're like, all right, that's it. No way. Philly's going to win. So we leave. He hits that field goal, and as we are like driving out of the parking lot, and everybody's losing their minds, and it was one of those where I was so, like, young me was so mad at my dad, and he was obviously laughing, and he was sorry about it. But going back to it, that field goal was like Matt Bryant had to put everything he possibly had into getting that over the bar, and if I remember correctly, he didn't clear it by that much. He kicked like a 66-yard field goal, and now it feels like basically every kicker in the NFL is like, oh yeah, warming up, he was nailing it from 70.
Yeah,
and like every team. Like, has that
we
kicker.
saw Cam Little in the preseason. Somebody's going to do it in the regular season. Somebody's going to hit a 70 in the regular season.
I think so.
Probably Brandon Aubrey is the favorite to do that. Cam Little could do it. I'm sure Boswell could give it a shot. I mean, somebody's going to do it. Jake Bates from Detroit too. He's got a big leg. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And the way it changes the strategy, even the Cowboys got the ball back with, was it even 30 seconds left? And we're even sitting there going, okay, they can tie. They don't need much. Mm-hmm. They need midfield just to have a shot. It used to be that you needed the 40 just to have a chance. And even then it used to be 57 and 58 yarders were like hard. Now they're not even hard anymore.
Right.
It's crazy.
Stout told the story for this one. What do you got?
I just still don't know, and this is something watching the Giants defense last year. I don't know why they play so much man coverage. They played man coverage on half of Dak Prescott's dropbacks. I get it. Like Cordell Flott had a decent game, but you have Deonte Banks who struggled throughout his career out there. Paulson Adebo out there on the other side.
I wonder if it's because of Banks, though. Because Banks played man at Maryland, and that's what he was good at. Well, I don't know how much zone he can play.
I just always thought the last couple of years that they've looked better when Shane Bowen's just gone to the zone defense.
Maybe.
And just don't give up these big plays. Dak Prescott against man coverage, 14 of 23, 158 yards, 3 big-time throws, 82.7 passing. And he was good all the way around, don't get me wrong. But I just am not sure why it is. And Shane Bowen's generally in the past been a cover 3 zone coverage kind of coach. I don't know why they run so much man coverage. And the Giants in this game with a 60.1 man coverage grade and committed 4 penalties on the back end, I think from 4 different players. So I just am not understanding why when you have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Jalen Tolbert and Kevontae Turpin and Jake Ferguson and all these guys, and they did this last year against Dallas, and CeeDee Lamb burned them, especially in the first game. I don't get it. I think there's just certain teams, if you don't have a Sauce Gardner, a Pat Surtain, a Derek Stingley, one of those guys, at least one of those guys, if not 2. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just don't see the Giants as a man coverage team like this, and I think it's a big reason they gave up 40 points. I really do.
Well, again, it kind of comes down to, it might come down to Banks. Like if Banks can't play zone coverage, then you're giving up wide open passes. Whereas at least if you're playing man, you're sort of forcing Dak to make a difficult throw, but clearly he's comfortable doing so. So you almost say like, hey, if Dak's going to be great today, salute to him, hat tip to him, whatever. He's going to beat us. But it might be better doing that than leaving everybody open with zone if they don't have a good feel for it. If
he's getting toasted regardless, which has often been the case, this game he gave up 1 catch, but I believe he committed 2 penalties. I don't know, man. This defense, there's been times in coverage, especially in the past, where I feel like they don't know how they want to handle. Banks had 2 penalties in this game, which led to a lot more yards. So I just don't. And the penalties were huge. I think, what did these 2 teams combine for? 260 penalty yards in this game.
Was it that many?
I think it was like.
Oh, well, there was that one play where like 4 guys all got penalties.
I think they combined for 260 yards worth of penalties. Both of these teams.
Let's see.
But
266. Penalty yards.
So the
Giants had 14 penalties for 160 yards. That's insane.
12 of them on defense.
Yikes.
This is part of it too. You play more man coverage, and guys are struggling to stay with the talented receivers Dallas has, and they start committing PIs. I've just never seen the last couple years the Giants as a man coverage team, and yet especially against Dallas and all the weapons they do have, I don't know why I keep going back to it. And if you have a guy like Banks, who you need to adjust everything around, and he had a 31.9 coverage grade in this game. And my most disappointing is just about every cornerback that played in this game on both sides. Banks, Paulson Adebo, Trayvon Diggs for Dallas, Kyer Elam. Neither of these teams at cornerback look very set at all right now, especially teeing off on each other like this. They both have to figure out, obviously after a 40-37 game, you got a lot to figure out in the secondary. But, the cornerback play in this game, they certainly got burned a lot in this one.
My side told the story, Giants explosive plays, right? Explosive plays in the passing game, which is tied for the 4th most in the NFL this week. They only had 5 last week. So they're leaning much more into what their offensive identity was, right? And we talked about on the grade release show last week, as well as the preview show, that unless the Giants offensive line can hold up and allow Russell Wilson to do what this offense was designed to do, which is throw the ball deep down the field, you're just not going to see a very good Giants offense. Now, Russ didn't necessarily have that much of better pass protection this week. He's got the ball out of his hands. His time to throw last week was 2.75, and this week it was 2.60. The offensive line wasn't like night and day different. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my gosh, the Giants were so much better in pass protection this week. Russ just threw it. He just threw the ball up there. And, he seemed to know the Cowboys defense pretty well, and he seemed to have a lot of confidence just attacking it down the field. But that's basically what the Giants have to do. It's just what the Giants have to do. And Russ, I think there was a point in time when, certainly when he was with Seattle for a little bit, he was more of a risk-averse quarterback. He could throw it deep down the field, and obviously that's how we get the Russ Moonball type of label that he has as a quarterback. But he also tried to take care of the football pretty well. I felt like that was the case in Denver as well, except for he was never really throwing it down the field. He was just trying to take care of the ball, and the offense was just not going anywhere because he didn't want to make a mistake. He didn't want to put it at risk. Here with the Giants, I think that it was a little bit in that first game of he was just being too conservative. And the fact of the matter is I wonder if Brian Daboll went to him and was just like, hey, man, you're going to have to throw interceptions this year. Like, you're just going to have to do it. Like, our team is built off of you throwing the ball deep down the field. You've just got to go and give our guys a chance. And they did this week, and they scored a crap ton of points because of it. So it'll be interesting to see if he continues that trend. But, they've got 3 quarterbacks that have the ability to do it. So if Russell Wilson, we get 5, 6, 7 weeks into the season, and he's being more conservative than they need to, we know Jameis won't care.
Yep.
Jameis is going to go in and he's going to try to light the world on fire no matter what. But then obviously you have the Jackson Dart element too. My most impressive was Brandon Aubrey. Brandon Aubrey was fantastic. We've already talked about that there. But my most disappointing is kind of like the Jackson Dart package plays. I'm kind of sick of these. Like, for example, the last package play that he had, it was on 2nd and 1. They put him in the game, and all 3 times they put him in the game, it was like read option stuff. And it was really not really important times in the game, which makes me feel like they weren't important times in the game, and they weren't really like risky times to put in the game, which makes me think that they just have Jackson Dart package plays like to get everybody to shut up. Like, and to me, I think that that's stupid. You're wasting a play there. If you just have a read option play with Jackson Dart, he's mobile. He's not Jalen Milroe.
No, he's not.
He's not Justin Fields. So honestly, I can't remember what wasn't it. I can't remember how they got into that 2nd and 1 situation on the very last Jackson Dart package play that they had. But it was 2nd and 1. They were on the Cowboys side of the field. And they take Russ out and they just put him in. I'm like, why are we doing this?
Well, you remember last year the Steelers would do the same thing with Russ and Fields, like you mentioned, and Fields is a better runner than Dart. But even then, there is a part to it too where you're in this tense game, and all of a sudden in the 4th quarter, you're bringing another quarterback in. Operationally, a lot could go wrong there, and Russell Wilson's dealing. I'd rather Russell Wilson just throw up another bomb or hand it off on 2nd and 1 instead. I'm with you. I think and Jackson Dart, he's a good athlete, like you just mentioned. He's not Fields or Anthony Richardson or Lamar Jackson where you're gonna do this consistently. It didn't make a ton of sense, especially with the rhythm that Wilson was in, because if something what if instead of tripping, what if for some reason on the mesh he would have fumbled it?
Right, because he's only been in the game 2 plays.
And I know it's all what ifs, and he's a professional and he's going to execute obviously to the best of his ability, but I never at Ole Miss did I think Jackson Dart was like, oh, that's the option guy. That's the guy you want. No, he's a good athlete. He's not an A+ athlete. What are we doing with it? You might as well just do it with Russ then on 2nd and 1.
I know.
He can pick up 1 yard.
Seems silly to me.
I'm with you.
By the way, before we move on, shout out Wan'Dale Robinson.
Absolutely. I mean, best game of his career, no question.
Yeah.
And we always
thought he was just a gadget guy.
We always talk about Malik Neighbors, and he's obviously one of the best receivers in football. But to have that second guy, and Robinson getting vertical in this game, we've never really, in the past, especially with Daniel Jones as his quarterback, obviously, despite what he is now, you always thought of Robinson as just this underneath guy that's working the chains. This game, 147 yards receiving. That's a career high, second best receiving grade of his career. I mean, he was a huge part of the reason the Giants scored 37 points, and I would like to see them continue to use him vertically so you have that second threat alongside Neighbors.
And then I also just wanted to point out, through 2 weeks, number 1 graded quarterback versus pressure is Dak Prescott with like an 84.5. And like it's a crazy high number.
And he needs to be that because they're not great up front.
And
Cooper Beebe now is out for,
6 to 8
for the high ankle. So it's only going to get tougher. But if Dak keeps performing like that and making those throws on time the way he is, the Cowboys at least have a chance.
He's a lot of fun to watch, and obviously a big reason why the Cowboys were able to get that win.